Today we're going to practice making flowers in perspective as some pre-work for the project we'll be starting next week. So we're going to learn how to make a couple different flowers and using a couple different materials if you have them available to you. I'm going to show how to do marker, color pencil, and crayon. You're welcome to use those materials, but you are also welcome to experiment and use other materials if you have them available. You can do the same process using even just pencil by itself, or you can use paints, or you can use torn paper. You can use any number of things. The main idea is that we're practicing some different flower shapes and that we're showing perspective in how those flowers are being shown on the page. So I'm going to start with a marker, and so we're going to start with a tulip shape, which is basically a very simple U with spiky bits at the top, and then you can color them in. So it's a very basic tulip. You can draw these, and when we're showing things in perspective, we want to show that they're going away from us, the viewer. And so to do that, we put them a little higher up and we make them a little bit smaller. And as you go back further and further in space, they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually, they'll sort of just become almost like little squiggles and then little dots as they get farthest away from us. So you can kind of see the transition of pretty large flowers and then getting smaller. Now you can use some overlap if you want to start practicing some realistic fields, because more than likely real life flowers won't grow separate from each other. They'll have some overlapping going on. You might even choose to have some of them sort of tipping sideways as if their stems are bent and things. If you want to practice some of that, you can, but what I'm looking for really is the size change and the fact that as we go up the page, they're really getting very small. So that is an example of a tulip. Another kind of flower is a cone flower, and I'm going to use a color pencil for this one. For your practice, you can change materials if you want to, or you can stay all in the same material for the whole time. That's fine too. So cone flowers are flowers that kind of look like this. They are long, and then they are like zigzaggy, spiky, and then they get smaller and smaller and smaller towards the tip. Kind of look like that. And you can do it several times and have kind of a layered effect. Or if you press hard enough, you can do it right the first time, or fully the first time. But just like the tulips, we want to have them get smaller as you keep drawing them. So even though the technique is to go thick at the base and then smaller at the tip, as I'm drawing the next flower, I'm making them shorter and smaller. And pretty soon I'm going to lose my detail and I'm just going to start drawing little lines. And then eventually they're just going to be those dots in the far away. So even with a color pencil technique, I can still have them have the same technique of getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And then my last technique I'm going to show is with crayon. If you're using crayon, you might notice that you maybe can't get as many details as if you had a pencil or even a small marker. So if you're using crayon, I would recommend that you use multiple colors. So with like roses here, I'm going to do like a spiral and then a U underneath it. And I'm going to make them not colored in with this color. But I am still going to use that technique of going smaller. And it's a little bit harder to get smaller with the crayon. So you have to kind of take your time. And eventually, though, we will be getting into those dots again, just like we did for these ones. So the farthest away ones might be dots. And then for crayon, what I would recommend is that instead of trying to color them, and maybe pick a secondary color to color in with, so that I'm almost using like a darker color as a line, and then I'm adding a second color on top. You want to be careful when coloring, though, that you're not getting outside those lines, or you're not totally covering up the line work that you did. Like I pressed really hard with my orange here and it's hard to see my lines. I'm just going to go back and add those red lines in again, just a little bit more on top so you can see them. So this is what I'd like. I want you to practice showing at least three types of flowers. You can again use you can choose to record or make all the same material or different ones. In addition, I would like you to please choose 3 more types of flowers on your own and do those 3. So you're going to have my 3 types of tulips, coneflowers, and roses, and then I would like you to do 3 more of your own choice of different flower types, but using the same technique of getting smaller and smaller and smaller on your page. So that is the assignment for this week. I'd love to see your flowers.